Hello Internet, Category here, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're not going to be doing an unboxing or a solo playthrough or looking through an old wargame magazine. No, today we're looking at a bit of PC software, and that software is the Game Assistant from LnL Publishing. Now this is mainly for LnL Tactical at the moment, but it assists in all sorts of ways with all sorts of side parts of the main game, which we're going to have a little look at in detail now. And I'll show you just how it can assist your playing and how having a little computer on the side of the table may be preferable. Let's have a closer look. So like I said, this is a new bit of software to assist your gameplay when playing LnL Publishing games. So far, it's only got Heroes of the Bitter Harvest and its expansion Enemies at the Gate from the LnL Tactical series, but they will be expanding that to further series under their umbrella. So, World War 85, maybe close quarters battles or first victories, or there's room to expand. Now, so far, this is available for Windows and Mac. There is iPad release planned in the future, possibly iPhone. They're not looking at Android so far, but I personally have this currently running under Linux on Debian. So for the turbo nerds like me, I will explain how I did that a little bit later, because it's not just as straightforward as using Wine, unfortunately. Now we're going to start having a little look at the different functions which make up the game. Starting with the Solo Assistant. So this itself is just a complete re-implementation of the Solo deck. It takes care of all the cards, takes care of all the dice rolls for the AEO, takes care of all of the flowcharts. All you need is your computer beside you instead of that stack of stuff. And when you first load it, it asks you to build a deck. So I'm going to grab one of the scenarios and let's just walk through it quickly. So I'm going to build the deck from the scenario Urban Renewal from Heroes of the Bitter Harvest. And I'm going to assume the Germans are the AEO. So for that, they are in a defensive posture. Click defensive. They need all the Silver Star cards. They don't use any of the AEO cards. They have action event cards 43, 44, 46, 47, 50. Add those to the deck. We've got to randomly select 4 fate cards to include, so let's go for those 4. And we use no Blue Star action event cards, but all of the reload cards. Now you see in the bottom corner, we've got the 63 cards in the deck, and it's ready to go. So whenever you'd normally draw a card, whether it be an AEO impulse or in the rally phase, you just click on the associated button. So let's say, for example, it's the enemy impulse. And it'll draw one of the cards for you. Now this you have to assess as normal. You look at your adjacent enemies, your ones that are within 2 hexes, the ones that are within line of sight before heading to the battlefield situation. And when you decide what is the reasonable course of action, you choose the action over on the side. So let's say we do have an adjacent unit and we're just going to go straight for a fire action. So I click the fire button, and this will replace what would normally be a flowchart in the game. So it'll just run you through the same questions of the flowchart, giving you step by step until it gives you an outcome. So can they conduct an ordnance attack? And let's say no. They can conduct a fire attack. There's multiple player units in range. There's only one eligible AEO. On the fire AEO, the closest actionable player unit before a non-actionable player unit. So that gives you the instruction for the AEO to take for that particular impulse. And you'll see down the bottom here, the deck's now got 62 cards in it, and there's 1 discarded. And at any point, if you ever need to roll a dice, you've got the roll dice button down here. So, you can roll 2 dice, obviously get 2 results, roll 1 dice, you'll get a single result with a nice pretty animation every time. But for each dice roll, it will also discard a card, as you would do for the AEO, as you pull a card for a die roll. Now this has discarded 5 cards, so obviously at some point they've drawn a card which didn't have a dice on it, be it a reload card or a battlefield fate card. It's gone straight to the discard pile and pulled the next card for a dice result. So let's just run through the impulse again. Let's try something different. Say, we get to the execute counteractions. Got the counteractions option here. And again, this will replace the offensive counteractions flowchart. So do we have off-map units? No, we don't. Is there an mortar attack available on ABA? Yeah, let's list some OBA available. Select mortar or leader within line of sight. Yep, we can do that and conduct that. And from that point, we'll go to the OBA rules in the game. And that's that impulse dealt with. So here we've got a reload card. Let's reload if the next card dice total is 7 or more, then place the card in the discard pile. So let's have a look at let's roll 2 dice. Yep, 6 and 3, that's 9. That is 7 or more. So in that case, we're going to reload. So the discarded cards will get shuffled back in. Sometimes when you draw an impulse, it will get you to a point where it tells you to pass or lay smoke. And at that point, you've got the other option here. So that will just take you straight back to the main menu. Now again, I'm going to draw some more cards, see if I can find a Battlefield Event card or a Battlefield Fate card. So here, when a Battlefield Fate card appears, Rally bonus. Next rally phase, all rally attempts die rolls receive a -1. Once played, select the next card. If the dice total is odd, place the present card into the discard pile. If even, remove it from play. So we'll hold that for later, because that'll be coming into play back at the rally phase. You can just click on this little held button down here, and there it is. You can roll dice, you can remove it or discard it from there. And while that's still held, you carry on your game. And if you're in the rally phase, this will walk you through the rally phase flowchart. Whether or not you can do the rally checks, whether you can bind half squads, support weapons with tripods on the map, then yes, we're in the offensive posture. No, we're not. This is defensive. And they are dismantled. We're in line of sight, so yep, we'll assemble them. Instead of having a stack of flowcharts next to your game, you just have this one screen, one mouse, there's no keyboard required, just click, 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 and it really speeds things up. Same for opportunity fire. Instead of digging out that flowchart every time the player moves in front of an AO, you just have to click a few buttons and see what the results are. Opportunity fire when player unit spends action point in line of sight. Yep, that's happened. They're in FP range. Yep, they're moving multiple units in a stack. There's no AFE there. And conduct a check. So you roll the 2 dice like normal. So let's give the... 8, let's say their modifier is just a -1. So yeah, that's a 7+. So let's fire. Some inherent fire powers, op fire. And through that, you can go through the entire game. You don't have to worry about the flowcharts, don't have to worry about the deck of cards. When you first set up the deck of cards, it's much easier to set up on here than it is to pull out the numbers that you need. It's much quicker afterwards because you don't need to put anything away, you just close it. If you accidentally skipped something, if you click the wrong button at some point, you can always pull up the log here, and this will tell you everything that's gone on up to that point. So, you can just scroll up here with your scroll wheel. Yep. You can see every card you've pulled, every flowchart you started, every die roll result. That can be handy. And if you are halfway through a game and you want to leave it on your table and go do something else, you can always save it. So I've got a couple of saves here already. Let's save this as Super Solo Game. Now whenever I want to load it, there it is. Click the folder button to load it and I'll be back in there. And if at any point I end up back in the main menu, if I've not done anything else, there's always the option to continue. Now the second feature is the data cards. So just like the actual box set, you have all of the possible data cards you can see for all of your AFVs, your aircraft, all the drop down you can see everything, all the different MMC types. You can click on the cards to get a nice big view of them, see all the stats, all the extra things, any special notes, which, although not particularly handy for MMCs in my opinion, but for things like support weapons with a ordnance fire table on the back of them, it saves you having to flip the counter. You can just look at here, you can see there, you've got the ranges, you've got the cost, you've got the to hit, the penetration values, and if you want to, you can zoom in, make them super large. I don't have much use for that myself. Now, with this, there's no new information whatsoever. All these cards come in the box set of Heroes of the Bitter Harvest. Again, it's just another little thing that saves table space. So say, for example, I am playing a game where there's a Panzer 3J, a couple of T-70s. I can click these little pin icons here, and let's say there's also a Russian aircraft at some point. Then I've got the option here to show only the pinned cards. So these three are relevant to my current scenario. You know, I could have every unit on the board or just the ones with the OFG tables that I care about. And it's a really easy way to get the information. And if I'm playing solo, while I'm in the solo assistant, while I'm waiting to choose the card or choose the outcome, there's always the option of data cards up here. So I can quickly look things up without ever actually leaving the flow of my solo game. And I think it's really easy, real quick. And again, with these data cards, often when I'm playing cardboard on the table, I'll have these next to the map just ready to look at. Again, only really the vehicles and support weapons, to be honest with you. But just having them here will save space along with the solo deck, along with all the stack of flowcharts. Real simple, but that option to pin things and look at them as you play, really, really, really handy to give you the info, but narrow down to what you need. Well, the next feature they have is the Battle Assistant. And just like in the companion book, this is a system which lets you build scenarios. Now, the system it uses is exactly the same system as laid out in the companion book. There's nothing new here, but again, it's just sped up and simplified, and a lot of the manual paperwork is taken out of it. And with a lot of the options, you can set them as random. So, for example, on this first screen, the players can be random, who's got the attacker, the size of the engagement. This can all be left random. So if I go on to the next option, these will be selected, but I won't know what they are. I can always come back and find out later, or have them as a surprise when I finally look at the scenario card. But what I like to do is click the Determine Randoms button in the bottom left here, and that will make everything, that'll collapse the wave function. So now, I've got an assault style extreme 6-map 14-turn scenario. Woof. And of course, I can override the randomness at any point. So I think, that's a bit too big for me. I can either just choose it to be small, or let's randomize it again. Medium, 2 maps, 8 turns. That's more the kind of speed I'm looking for. So you can randomly generate scenarios this way, or you can craft them yourself. Here we've got the Soviets assaulting the Germans. The Soviets are player 1. They'll be the attacking force in this assault. The Germans will be defensive. It's going to be a 2-map, 350-point game. Again, you get the random extra points, just like if you're doing it by hand, and you also have the time of day and the month. So we've got a nice afternoon game in September. And you've got weather here, and weather will be appropriate for the month, just like the chart in the book is. So let's see what weather it gives us. Oh, extreme heat. Oh. Again, let's adjust the game length. Oh, 3 less turns. I think that's a bit too few, so I'm going to give that another randomize. -1, yeah, that's a bit smaller, but not excessively short. And here's where you get to assign the maps. So I've got 2 maps to assign. The options, I can pick each of these squares and choose a particular map to go against it. You've got the base set maps here that are black. You've got anything you see with a blue highlight around it. Much like the collisions here, this is from the Enemy at the Gates expansion. So you can know whether to avoid it if you don't have that expansion, or know that you'll have to pull that box out when you're putting things together. Also set the rotation whether normal, flipped or random, but again, nothing assigned, so let's randomize them. I've got map 77 and 78. So let's see where the attack is going to set up. Oh, they're going to come in from the south. Oh, look at that. So it's going to be a really wide game with a short attack surface, but going to be plenty of chance for flanking. So now we get to the Victory X section. This side has no randomization whatsoever yet. Well, I say yet. Speaking to Lock and Load, there's a chance it may not come. What I've said I'd like to hear is an option to look at the map. Just a little button to show me with the map so I can pick the main victory hex using these drop-down menus, but without having to pull out my box and pull out the maps and look at them on paper, because everything else I've done constructing this scenario has been done on the computer. I may be constructing this a couple of days ahead of playing, putting a scenario together. So it'd be nice if I could just do it all in the app, but it's not possible at the moment, but it's a suggestion I have made. So again, yeah, you can set the main victory hex, and if there are secondary victory hexes required, you can set those up. Oh yeah, there's one. Let's put one on map 78. Again, because I can't see the map in front of me right now, I haven't gone to get them out, so I can just randomly select them, but this is just for a demonstration more than anything. So here we get the reinforcements. So let's see if there's any reinforcements. So there's no reinforcements for the attackers. The defenders get 25 points of reinforcements, which come on turn 4. And there are some discounted artillery for both sides. And shall we randomise the victory conditions? Simple. So you've just got to control the victory axis to win. Or you've got the detailed option where it's the victory points of who's destroyed what, who's got control of the most of the victory axes. Now once you've put together the basics of the scenario, that's when it drops you into purchasing the forces. Again, this is one point with no randomisation. They've said they're looking at possibly building a random force generator into this. If you've seen my earlier videos on Lock and Load Tactical, I have made a pen and paper randomiser for forces. So whenever I'm making a scenario, if I really want to be truly random, I'll just get out my own little charts on my own little system and put them together. But I'll show you how it works here. So you've got your Soviets on one side, Germans on the other. It shows you the amount of points you've got for the main force. It shows you the amount of reinforcement points here that you can see on the German side. But let's add a Soviet unit. Let's start with adding a leader. So let's add Lieutenant Baradov. Get to pick a skill for him if you want, or no skills. And you'll see that it will slowly start ticking down the amount of forces used. Now let's say we're getting one of the tanks here, 46 point T34. If I wanted more than one of this vehicle, I'd keep increasing it. Not only does it change the initial force value as it goes, showing how many points I spent, the little parentheses down at the bottom here, they show how many counters I've used at the top and how many I've got left. So at the moment I've selected 3 of them, and I can choose another 6 before I run out of counters that were provided with the game. So at no point can you build a scenario which I can't physically play, and I think that's a really nice little touch. And again, it's the same for all. You've got the aircraft you can buy, you've got the MMCs, so you've got up to 19 of these units. Let's buy plenty of them. And also you've got the ones that are surrounded in blue. So again, I know if I want to use this particular sniper counter, I know that he came in enemy at the gates because he's surrounded by blue. And on the German side, let's add nothing but motorcycle units, all 15 that come with the game, and they've got their reinforcements. Let's see, their reinforcements that can just be, oh yeah, let's pick a couple of these squads. When you go over the point allowance, it will highlight a red, so you know that you can, let's bring it back. There we go, we've got 24 points. Those 2 counters will be the reinforcements. For OBA barrages, you've got the different types of strike. You've got the light strikes, 3FP, 3FP, 2AG, and just like the other forces, you use the plus and minus to purchase them, and it remembers the discount because you can roll for discounted OBA, so that'll take that into account. So I'm not going to build a full force here. I'll throw 3 counters together. This isn't a real scenario, but let's move on, and it gives you a chance to give it a title. So let's give this the title of Just Example Battle, and hit finish. So now the battle is created. Now once you've created a battle, it will appear in your scenarios list. So here I've got a couple I've made. I've made Armour at Dawn and In the Dead of Winter. Let's take a little look at the example battle we just made. When you open it, it comes in a proper looking scenario sheet like you'd find in the companion book. I think it looks really good. So it tells you it's a September in the afternoon, just like we rolled up. This bit in the top right, it tells you that it needs, here's the bit of harvest, and because of this counter selection, enemy at the gates, or map selection, it would also change that. And you've got the elements of the group, the counters you're going to have to use, where they can set up, the reinforcements, how the map's set up, scenario length, the basic victory conditions, the fact that extremely hot weather came in. So you've got these 2 pages here, and you can export these Clicking that button will save them as PNG files, so you can go and load them up as images on a computer, send them to other people online for games on Vassal or Tabletop Simulator, or print them out for a face-to-face game. The fact that it brings the scenarios to look so much like a real, legitimate companion book scenario, I think is just a real good touch. It gives it such a more of a weight. Let's have a look at In the Dead of Winter. So this was a dusk scenario and under snowy weather that I put together with a small single map game, but loads of infantry. But you can just build these scenarios really simply. In the future, I know there are plans to have instead of the counter types marked out like this, the scenarios will have pictures of the counters involved, which will help you with your counter picking. I think they're going to add because like in the normal scenarios, you get a bit of a intro text and actual location. So I think they're going to add a bit of a text field that you can type in a bit of blurb about the scenario to give it a bit more character. Or if you're designing something around a real historical battle, then you can give a bit of a real history to it. And lastly, they've got the career mode. Now, when Heroes of the Bitter Harvest launched, this was called the role-playing campaign in the companion book, and you made your personal leader counter, and it's all the same as that. And again, you have the choice to be random, but I've got one little character here, but let's build up a new character here of let's go for a German. Let's just call him Wolfgang. We'll choose all this German counter here. I like the look of that one. And yeah, let's go for a random campaign with a random movement factor. So confirm. And you've built your character. There's no current scenario going on, but there are 5 scenarios left in his campaign. Again, this is nothing new. This is nothing the book doesn't do already. You know, you're provided forms to do this with paper, and there's charts and tables to roll on to do all of this. The computer's just doing it for you. So let's start a scenario. Let's join into the example battle scenario that we just created. Now, it would be nice if there's a little drop down of scenarios that are in the game and ones you've made, but again, that's a minor thing. So we started the scenario, example battle, there's 0 XP, and while you're playing, you can have various events crop up which generate XP for your leader. They're all down here. You've got the green ones, which are the positives, the red ones, which are the negatives, and if you mouse over, it just gives you the little description. So this green flag is captured and was the last to occupy a victory hex. Got the 2 people fighting. That's when you direct a melee that eliminated all enemy units. This medal will single-handedly destroy a vehicle or aircraft. This skull is if your leader dies, which does happen from time to time, and you get some pretty horrible negatives for it. Say I had a melee. I destroyed a vehicle, or I successfully rallied a couple of units. I did take over that victory hex. So I've got 12 XP at the end. And let's say it's come to the end of the scenario. Just click End Scenario, and we won that one. So get 1 XP, and Wolfgang got promoted, so he gets 1 extra morale. So up in your stats here, now we're a 606 leader, when before we were a 506. And you get to start the next scenario of Scenario the Second. And you can always just close this down. And let's go back into the Solo Assistant. Let's just load up the Super Solo game we were halfway through playing earlier and pretend that was part of our career. And much like with looking up data cards really easily, whilst you're drawing cards, you can put up your career. Oh, yeah, I did direct fire halfway through there, so let's close that. Yep, draw another card. Oh, the enemy fires on me. Oh, no. Yeah. You stuck with the card, and oh, no, we did get shot, and I was wounded. So you can open up your leader, click the wounded button, close it, and then carry on with the scenario, all within the Solo Assistant. Okay, so for a bit of technical info, this is currently available in this 1.7 beta version for Windows and Mac. If you look in the description, you'll find links to download. It's also on the LnL Facebook group. The Windows version, you should just unzip and it should just work fine. The Mac version, where it's a beta, I don't think it's been signed correctly, so you might have to jump through a few hoops. I'm not a Mac user myself, but based on the chats I've had with the guys at LnL, you're going to have to open your system settings, go to privacy security, and after it's failed to open once, it will be an option on the menu to open anyway for the LnL Game Assistant. And after you've told it to open anyway, you should only have to do it once. Every time you open the app after that, it should just open. And like I said, there's an iPad version coming, which might be iPhone compatible, so you can have something even smaller at your desk doing all this. But there are no plans for an Android version. I don't think it's impossible, because looking at I'm pretty sure they've made this with Unity, looking at having a little poke around in the file, so it should be possible to build for Android quite easily, but we'll have to wait and see what their devs do. So like I said earlier, I'm running this on Linux. I do have a Windows install available to me, but I don't use it very often, so I'd like to get this on Linux while I have all my other software. And unfortunately, it doesn't work with Wine at the moment. I was lucky enough to look at some earlier versions which did load with Wine. This one doesn't, however. It does load in Steam. Because Steam uses Proton, which is a slightly more forgiving or advanced version of Wine, you can get it running. If you have the Steam Linux client, which I expect most games probably would, you just add this Windows application as a non-Steam game in your library. Then you can add it to your programs menu, you can add a link to your desktop, you can launch it as simple as anything else, and it just does everything in the background. The only problem with that is that when you go to the scenarios, the open image folder is buried really, really deep, just because of the way Steam and Proton has the false drive C. If you look at this example I've got on the screen, this is the path to where my scenario images are saved. So I've just put a symlink to this in my home directory so I can easily find it. And again, if you're the kind of person who's using Linux, the idea of a symlink shouldn't be too off-putting to you. So that's all the main features of the Game Assistant now shown to you. I'm personally going to go off and have a little bit of a play with one of my Battle Assistant scenarios, and I'm going to use this as the solo assistant instead of a deck of cards, and after I've played for a little bit, I'll give you my final thoughts on this. So, I've played a fair few games using the Solo Assistant. I've built a couple of scenarios myself. I've spent a lot of time with it, and I've started to form a bit of an opinion about it. Like I say, overall, I do like it. Now, it's not perfect. It's missing some things and a few little bugs to iron out, which I have mentioned to LnL. But, you know, I do think they need map images, if only to make the scenario cards better, and just make it a bit easier to set the victory conditions when you're making the Battle Assistant scenarios. I mean, it's not like the maps are some kind of secret source. They're out there for free on their Tabletop Simulator mod, on their Vassal mod, so it's not... I think it would really improve it and just make things a bit quicker, and you can stay within the app when building a scenario. Another thing I think they should do is in the data cards bit, I wish they had the little skill reference cards, so you could have these pinned. Again, not a huge thing, but it would save me from having one of the player aids out when I'm playing it. And you know, overall I thought this would save loads of space on my table, getting rid of all those flowcharts, getting rid of the solo deck. But no, the laptop still does take up quite a bit of room, but every other little player aid that it can get out of my way would be really helpful. And even with these negatives and these little missing pieces in mind, I still think this is really, really useful. Normally, when I see an app is required for a game, that's a big turn off. I instantly don't care. But what I like about this is it's not required. It's just a quality of life improvement. It helps you do things which you can already do in the game. You know, building a solo deck is just a couple of clicks. You're not trying to find all the cards and put them together. Likewise, when you're actually playing this solo, you don't have to walk through this. You don't have to have the stack of flowcharts there and follow the course through it. It asks you the questions, it walks through it, and it does really speed up that side of play. Because the solo system in LnL Tactical is quite flowchart heavy. I mean, I think it has good outcomes, but it is hard work. And again, with the solo system, packing up at the end is already done. I've not got the player aid cards out. I don't have to sort all of the solo assistant deck back into numerical order, because you have to, realistically, for when you build the deck the next time round. These little time savings are really useful. And the battle assistant on here is miles and miles above getting out your companion book and building a scenario the old-fashioned way. Trying to have your little notepad and jotting things down as you build everything up. This is so much quicker, and the output, the way it looks like something that's from one of the real scenarios, it's just brilliant. The output is just, I can't fault it at all. I do think there are a few things missing from it. It would be nice if you could write a little blurb about the scenario, you know, give it a bit more character than how it is at the moment. But the output, the speed of it is so good. There is the possibility that they'll be adding a random force generator to it as well. And, you know, I've made my video of how I generate random forces. If I could just click, practically make an entire scenario with victory conditions, maps chosen, forces laid out for me, it would just be bliss. And this isn't even the end of it. This is, for LnL Tacticals, here's the Beta Harvest in this beta version. And the fact they're going to be extending it to other game series is going to be brilliant. When this can cover the World at War 85, you know, maybe even things like First Victories, the potential for this is so good. And like I say, it's not an essential thing. It's not doing anything you can't do on pen and paper. It's not a requirement for the game. But if you're someone who plays solo or likes building your own scenarios, it is such a useful time saver that I can't recommend it enough. It might not be to your taste, but definitely try it, especially if you design scenarios. So, is this something that you're interested in? Is this something that you think's a positive step forward? Because I know I do. I'd love to hear what you think about it. Like I said, there'll be download links in the description. You can go on the LnL Facebook group, you'll be able to find links there as well. I really suggest you try it out, give it a whirl. Come back here, drop me a comment, and we'll have a little chat. I really want to know what you think about it. So, until next time, happy gaming!